All right. So some volumetrics. I never figured out why saving shaders takes so much time. Um, all right, new scene. I'll open something. Levels, huge icons. Um, let's go with mm, mm, uh, gray books demo. Okay, so I'm using 425, and they made some changes there. So the old, if you're using the new sky atmosphere, which is really cool, the old atmospheric fog is not compatible. Um, but it had much more nice uh, absorption and more like physically correct um, settings in stuff. But it works with the exponential height fog. So um, exponential height fog is really nice. Also, like using, I'm a fan of using like big translucent or like additive, uh, usually translucent. Maybe um, sometimes you have to work with the depth or like making manual depth sorting and stuff. But like making huge planes can be a really a time saver for atmospherics. Um, takes forever to load this one. I don't like waiting. Um, let's try this one. See if I get some cool um, reference to. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So here's some like a straight fog. Um, there's some more like chunky stuff. Let's make some textures. I mean, you could always do. Why not do ZBrush? Failed to open map. Never happened before. Uh-huh. Um, Okay, so let's start here. Um, let's make some alpha brush, clay brush, clay build up. That brush trim dynamic, and just make something weird looking. Right, document size, turn off proportional, do like a 2K, and it always disappears. Resize, yes, new T, frame it, and grab alpha, grab doc. Oh, I destroyed it. When you're doing textures with the plane in ZBrush, actually you don't want to use the smooth when you subdivide, and also you don't want to make you only want to make it go like one way. So you don't like I did now. What I did was I sculpted some inwards, and then this plane will not be invisible. Um, um, let's show this. Make only things go upwards. And if I do the grab dock on this one, oh, of course, like this. In my demo mode again, nothing is working. Yeah. So um, it will make a transparent surrounding to this one. So you don't have to worry about the mask and stuff like that. So it's a really freaky looking cloud puff. Um, grab dock, and I will export this one. Export. Future games, texture, weird cloud puff. Save it. Right. Okay, we can actually start here. I guess most of you have found the exponential height fog. Only problem with it is that the slider is too. It's not very good. Mm, 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 mm. Scale variation. Brush. Point one. my forest. Um, like most sliders in Unreal, you can um, you can use higher values than you can actually slide to. So this one you can use like really high values, and you can use start distance, for instance, if you want to limit it. Oculus, thank you. My tiny guy here. Perfect. Yeah. So like super basic fog. Um, oh, I love this demo. Um, let's throw away these guys. Atmospheric fog, explanation height fog. Okay. Also like get in the sky atmosphere. There's one checkbox if you load an old scene. You need to check this like atmosphere sunlight up here. Take away this one. So add some extra power to the light is to show these different absorptions effects. There's actually a really nice video by Shor de Jong up um, on the Unreal blog. Um, so there's 3 different scattering settings in this one, and I really encourage you to check out Shor's video because it's really informative. Um, okay, playing again. And a lot of these old techniques, like using like simple fog planes, I think is underestimated. I mean, because performance is so high, you don't have to even consider. You can use as many as you like. Of course, if you use them close up, you might get too much overdraw, but still, I mean, compared to volumetric fog and stuff like that, I would say it's very efficient. Uh, Duplicate this shader and call it unlit color translucent. Translucent, and also like unlit pixels are, quite fast to shade. Textures. Import our weird cloud puff. Um, there are some settings. Right now I can't recall the setting, the name of it, but there is a setting on the shader to fade close to solid objects, which is really useful. Um, All right. Multiplier. Opacity master. And like I said in the chat, I really like the lit steam that's in the starter content for like more like Blade Runner style smoke effects and stuff like that. Um, mm, mm, mm. And always make third instance. Yeah, I mean this doesn't look super good, but still, I think you get the idea that uh, you can um, you can use like simple stuff like this to get um, kind of more defined smoke effects um, in your scene. And I recommend you to spend more like than 1 minute on your clouds. But and of course, making textures like this, um, you could always use them as in a particle system and make your own like uh, custom cool looking particle systems. So let's do the start content. It's actually my favorite asset in here. Steamlit. I mean, it looks really good. It's not the GPU particle, um, which would have some effect on. It's not like super optimal performance, but that's because at least when I tried last time, the GPU sprites don't support size over life, so you can't scale them over life. But I mean, this one is really, really cool. I haven't started using Niagara yet because it doesn't support instant stereo, which I do a lot of VR. So maybe it does now, but did not in 424 at least. Um, so let's get the exponential height fog back. And there's one more thing. It's the volume lights too. Yeah. So now I made this scene is like really small, but I mean these combine nicely. Um, what more? Yeah, volume lights. For volume lights to work, you need an exponential height fog. So it's hidden in here. Volumetric fog. Boom. And let's put the light in here to show. So now immediately we get this volume light effect. Um, and we can control it, like the density of it, both on the specific light and as a global effect on the exponential height fog. Um, yeah, I had some trouble with the color of it. Let's go in here. Exponential height fog, volumetric fog. Yeah, like that. I mean, this would be street lights on a foggy day, or like. Volume. Um, do you have any questions on these kind of stuff? I mean, of course, you will have to be a little bit careful if you, especially if you do like mobile games and stuff like that. But I mean, for me, I tend to work like quite freely in my creative phase, and then look for optimizations later because then I can work much faster. Could actually look inside this material to get the that parameter. Yeah, this one I think is the one. That fades the objects when they get close to geometry. Straight. So I will save this in file. Save current as volumetrics. Did that shed any light on volumetrics for anybody that was wondering? I hope it did. Okay. Let's throw these guys away. Make a plane. Make it big. And put our unlit translucent material on it. And we increase the opacity. So now there's very obvious edge here. So let's see if we can use this technique here. That's the opacity of the particle, and this is the depth fade. Copy. And I like to have an opacity master, and I like to keep that on the very end. So I know that whatever happens, if my opacity master is at 0, there will be like 0 out opacity. Let's check it out. Yeah, it actually worked. Uh, the winds are changing. So I mean, this is a key effect to make these kind of planes and all that stuff work. Um, and also another thing that's kind of good to know, or like easy trick if you don't want to do like particles all the way everywhere. Is show how to make a really easy blueprint. Rotating plane, or like rolling plane maybe. Rolling plane, BP, like that. And like with all stuff like this, I respect the X forward vector in Unreal. So I wouldn't. Somebody's mic is on and opening a soda can. All right. Also, we're making like animation blueprints. I like to make them since I have like a rigging background. Um, I usually do like an animation route or something. Um, scene component anim route, just to be able to not put the animation straight on the object if you want to put like multiple objects or whatever, and just keep it clean. So for this one, event graph, tick, add a rotation speed or like a roll speed variable, roll speed, uh, promote delta time, dt, and add rotation, add relative rotation. And since I rotated this plane, it wouldn't have a true like correct roll angle. But since I'm putting the animation on anim route, I don't even have to check. I know um, it will be the roll angle, the x. So here I take my delta time and I multiply it by the roll speed, which should be a float. And if I multiply it with roll speed, and this is degrees, I know that it would be like if I put 360 here, we do like a full spin in 1 second. So maybe a tenth of that, so 36. Um, roll speed. And I mean, roll speed will be a public variable, so I can change it out in the scene. Put it in the roll, connect the execution wire, and compile it. Also, get the material. Material. Yep. And put that on the plane. Check it out. Yep. And I mean, this one, of course, is a lot of unrendered, like discarded pixels. So to make this optimized, you don't want all this like an empty space just overdrawing. So I will put my rolling plane out here. Yeah, maybe make it two-sided. Real time. Oh, beautiful. Um, take this one away. Get my speed up. And of course, you would need a offset too. First, I will bring this down. Because if you have multiple planes, you don't want the exact same rotation. So let's do that in a construction script. Roll, offset, make it public. Get the animation route, set relative rotation, Split that guy and insert this one into the role and just put it up here. Like I don't know how much, like I guess it differs, but super basic blueprint too. Um, Construction script is what happens like if you want to see something in the editor, if you make like interactive uh, like instancing systems or whatever, you will have to put stuff in the construction script to see it. You can't spawn actors and stuff like that in construction script, um, but you can create components. Um, and when you make a variable, if you click this I here, you make the instance editable, which is like a public variable, so you can change it out in your scene. We'll expose it here, so I can put a roll offset something, whatever number. And also, what you want to do with if you do like fog planes like this, let me go way too fast. You want to keep different speeds, of course, and you also want to fade them when they get near. And this one has opacity with blocking. But I mean, not a perfect example, but I think you get the point. And I look forward to seeing your like well-worked versions of it.
I have
Yep.
a question.
Yep.
Isn't it better to like do these kind of effects in like the effects editor whatsoever?
Do you mean like the Cascade or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, in Cascade you make particle systems,
Yeah.
and that can be great. But sometimes you just want to place like big planes, like in front of a mountain, or something. You don't want to spit out
Okay.
particles there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's like a super simple
Because
version of that.
yeah,
Materials
because
will be similar. Yeah.
because I was thinking like if to get more variation, you can like add like you know different sizes, different
Yeah. Yeah.
speeds,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
yeah,
yeah, I see what you mean.
completely, completely. And that a great starting point is that the lit steam example. And like I said, I still use Cascade. It's like very old school, but it works, and it's the only one that works with instant stereo if you do like VR. It crashes sometimes, but save often.
Nice.
Yeah. So for this one, like if you make a particle system, there was actually a question on this. One cascade particle system can contain different emitters. So if you do like a spark and smoke thing, you do like a bunch of different emitters on the same system. So another unprepared demo here. And these are the absolute basic parameters. There is to get the GPU sprites, um, you have to click up here somewhere. Um, Emitter. Where did they put that? Maybe you can't do that. Or type data. Um, Type data GPU sprites. They're faster, but they also have certain limitations. So, for instance, size by life did not work on the GPU sprites. But anyway, so
They can't use physics as well, right?
uh,
Or am I wrong?
no, I mean
Yeah.
Niagara is what's gonna be for everything. So I
Yeah.
this one is really simple. So if you want to make some simple particle systems, you can just do
Yeah.
it here. And for me, it's convenient because I've used it quite a lot.
Yeah.
But for all like future future safe learning, use the new system Niagara. But just a quickie here is like if you do like orientation, I don't know, like uh, rotation rate, for instance, you can add a simple rotation to the and everything is like really buried. So like everything is like um, really deep inside. So this variation, if you want to spin both ways, do it like a positive and negative. Um, it doesn't look really good, but anyway, yeah, be careful. It doesn't seem to be rotating backwards, but
Uh,
uh,
do you know how to make like what they're called flip book effects, like smoke particle effects?
yeah.
You
What
do?
you do is you render some
Yeah.
animation. Actually, I did I did an example of this one, and if you want to get a hang of it, uh, sorry, I recommend you to actually put a cube in Maya and animate it a 360 spin. Um, Houdini. Um, to make yes to make it work, to get the point of it. Where is my cube? Okay. So just make a simple animation of a spinning cube and render it to like a 256 or uh, something square texture,
Yeah.
and then render out, like 16 frames or whatever, like some um, even number, like 4, 16, 8, something you can stack, in a sprite sheet. And then I think there's, if it was a plugin or there's a small app. I don't remember where it was. Sprite sheet maker. Um, yeah, I'm not sure which one I used because that was also a while ago. But what you do is you just feed the 16 sprites, and uh,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
makes.
But like, how do they like make their custom like example like fire or clouds? Do you know that?
Uh, I mean, you paint or photograph a piece of
Oof.
something like that. Yeah. Or I mean,
Okay.
if you can simulate fire, like
Yeah.
in
So
Houdini or
yeah.
yeah, or Maya, then you render that. But then you would have to do it. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter if you make just a flame. You might not even have to loop it. But if you make like a big cloud particle like this, I mean, of course, it's nice if you can loop a few times, so make it a
Mhm.
seamless loop. But I mean, actually, um, if you're using Houdini, like you said, you might this summer, there is actually a really nice way to loop simulations. Um,
Nice.
and the node you use is called
Loop.
sequence blend. So
Yeah.
um, if you done loop, have you done looping in like video?
Yeah.
So you just like take the first part of it and
Yeah.
put at the end, and you
I've
can do
done tiling as well.
yeah,
Same
and you can do that
thing.
with let me see if I find this example. Um, up here maybe. Nope. Um, yeah, my my poor hard drive, or like poor me, not no ordering.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I get it, but yeah, you can make like really cool looped animations, and that's in Houdini too. You can output your simulations to texture data, or like your vertex animation stuff to texture data, and it even makes the shader for you. So you just copy, you get like a bunch of text and just copy and paste the whole text into the shader editor in Unreal, and you get the complete setup. Um, it's
You need to get
really cool.
Houdini. She.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to do stuff like that, I mean, everything else is like yes, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, Houdini to UE4.
Do Houdin have a
see.
student license?
Yeah. Uh,
Nice.
um, uh, Game dev tools.
Because I need to make some fire.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, in Houdini, they have like a fire, yeah, fire preset, I think. Haven't tried, but you can easily make. I mean, if you want to make simulations and smoke and all that stuff, I think it's like the best place.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, there is. You will find it if you search. It's in the what's called labs now. It used to be called like the game dev
Mm,
stuff.
cool.
Labs. Yeah. Um UE4. Ah, come on. Probably this one.
Oh, it has Unreal 4 inbuilt. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean
So you can just export it and it's gonna be like a setup shader for you. That's cool.
yeah, this
Damn.
one actually outputs Niagara particles and all that
Oh, Niagara, yeah.
from simulations. So they have really good integration. I've not used it too much. What I've done recently, like I haven't done much particles, but I've done a lot of uh, I use like vertex colors a lot,
Mm.
which is cool because it's really cross-platform. Uh, I even used this one and I faded the effects of uh, let me see. Actually, I can open it and I read. Yeah. So, because uh, I wanted the ends of the like strands to be sitting on the ground. Life.
Yeah, so you painted some weight on the
Yeah, I just
front.
I don't even painted them. I just used an attribute that and I used a ramp to remap the curve. Uh, Curve U is an attribute you can use in Houdini, which is like 0 is the start of the curve and 1 is the end of the curve. So and then you can just map a ramp to
Yeah,
like input and like put any value along that ramp, like color or any data.
yeah, cool.
Cool. All right, that's pretty much it. And
Life the app.
yeah, it's one of my projects. It's actually like my main I have two projects. One is called Life, and the other one is called Trip. Uh, and it's a trippy
Three. Okay.
music.
And the third one is called Acid.
Yeah, basically now included in Trip is like acid and ketamine and DMT and no, it's not. Uh, but it's not too far off actually either. I mean, I don't want to promote drugs, but I would do trips a lot more than this kind of other like cocaine and that
Yeah,
bullshit. Uh, I had to edit that out of the recording.
yeah. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. So here it is. I mean, uh, these guys are like activated macrophages, which is like um, white blood cells are eating bacteria. Um,
Looks like spaghetti bolognese.
yeah,
Like meatballs.
yeah. I mean, so what do they say? Like so above, so below, or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's pretty shader based. This effect is completely shader based. Um, so I can actually show you the finished result. And it had so much problems. I mean, one thing you don't want to do in shaders is have uninitialized variables. Like if you have a multiply like this and you unplug one, it can still keep some weird unpredictable data in there, which is like really. not what you want because I got such really weird effects. Uh,
Mm.
so here's like a layered vertex effect. Uh, and I also like to put if I make a general purpose shader, I will always put a static switch parameter like use bubble effect, and false would be like just a 0. And I will because then you get this one out in your material or material instance, and you can turn off the whole thing, and it will not calculate at all. So this is the way to make if you want to make like an advanced master material.
Yeah,
You would use a lot of these static switches
that's cool.
or static switch parameter. Um, that is really good. And I mean, yeah, I usually just they actually sort in the material in their own category, which is set static switches, so you can turn on and off features of the shader that you need or as you need them. All right. Any more questions? Um, did it make any sense?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
probably come with some questions once I get there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really hard to get to make lectures that make sense. I mean, because it's